Beneath the calm, rolling hills of Ohio, hidden under layers of soil and silence, lie some of the strangest enigmas ever discovered on American soil. Massive earthworks spiraling with ancient precision, mounds that seem to align with the stars, stone tablets carved in unknown hands, and stories whispered through generations, of giants, of lost civilizations, of knowledge science still can't explain. Why did ancient people build colossal geometric patterns only visible from the sky? Who truly shaped the Serpent Mound, so perfectly curved, so deliberately placed? And why are so many of Ohio's relics shrouded in destruction, secrecy, or simply forgotten? Tonight, on Timeless Enigma, we'll guide you on a slow, hypnotic journey into America's ancient past, exploring mysteries that archaeologists puzzle over even today. Close your eyes, slow your breath, and let your mind drift into the quiet riddles of time, because in the heart of the Midwest, the past isn't buried. It's waiting to be rediscovered. The Serpent Mound, a cosmic enigma in the earth. In the tranquil countryside of southern Ohio, nestled among the quiet forests and rolling hills, lies a monument unlike any other in North America, an immense earthwork sculpted in the shape of a winding serpent. Known simply as the Serpent Mound, this ancient effigy stretches over 1,300 feet in length, its sinuous body curling and coiling in deliberate patterns. At its head, the serpent appears to be swallowing or guarding an egg-shaped mound. From the ground, it appears to be a simple undulating ridge. But from above, from the air, or perhaps, as some believe, from the sky itself, its majestic form comes into focus, unmistakable in its shape and intent. It is among the most iconic and mysterious ancient sites in the United States. And yet, to this day, no one truly knows who built it, why they shaped it in the form of a snake, or what cosmic significance it might have once held. Tonight, we begin our journey into the ancient and the inexplicable, the deep past of Ohio's forgotten civilizations. As the world around you drifts into slumber, allow your imagination to awaken and follow us through the first chapter of this enigma, a monument of soil and stars. The Serpent Mound was first brought to national attention in the 19th century when archaeologists and explorers began documenting Ohio's vast landscape of mysterious mounds and geometric earthworks. Of all the formations, the Serpent Mound stood out not only because of its size and artistry, but because of its unmistakable shape and potential astronomical alignments. When viewed from above, the serpent's head aligns with the summer solstice sunset. The coils of its body may correspond with lunar phases or eclipses, and some believe the tail, which spirals inward, marks the winter solstice sunrise. Was this a calendar carved in soil? A ceremonial path? A cosmic symbol? The mystery deepens when we consider its location. The Serpent Mound sits atop an ancient impact crater, a geological anomaly suggesting a meteor may have struck the Earth millions of years ago. Did the builders of the mound know of this celestial scar beneath their feet? Were they responding to a cosmic memory, echoing a story of fire from the sky? As you rest here in the quiet of your mind, picture ancient people laboring by torchlight, digging, packing earth, shaping a message meant for the heavens or for us thousands of years later. Who built it? That question remains unanswered. Some archaeologists suggest it was constructed by the Fort ancient culture around 1,000 years ago. Others believe it was much older, perhaps built by the Enigma or Hopewell cultures that once thrived in the region more than 2,000 years ago. Carbon dating of charcoal found at the site has produced conflicting results. The mound has been altered over time. Restorations and changes in the landscape may have erased clues that could confirm its true origins. There are even more fringe theories that the builders were influenced by lost civilizations, travelers from other continents, or even beings from beyond this world. While mainstream archaeology remains cautious, the enduring mystery of the Serpent Mound continues to invite speculation. The symbolism of the serpent. Why a snake? In cultures across the world, serpents represent wisdom, renewal, death, and rebirth. In Native American mythology, the snake is often a powerful spirit connected to water, transformation, and the underworld. Some interpret the Serpent Mound as a depiction of the Great Serpent, a being found in many indigenous legends who guards the boundaries between worlds. The egg-shaped mound at its mouth could represent creation, the sun, or the soul itself. Others see the entire structure as a map of the heavens, a snake coiled through time and space. Some believe the undulating body represents the path of the sun across the sky, or the movement of celestial bodies through the calendar year. Whatever its purpose, the symbolism of the serpent resonates deeply. It is ancient, universal, unsettling, and yet calming. A creature that sheds its skin and begins again. A place of power. Visitors to the Serpent Mound often describe a feeling of deep peace or strange energy. The site has become a pilgrimage point for spiritual seekers, historians, and those drawn to ancient mysteries. Some claim to feel vibrations in the air or experience vivid dreams after visiting. Others report compass anomalies or a heightened awareness while standing near the coils. Whether these sensations stem from imagination, earth energies, or something more, the Serpent Mound remains a place of power. It is also a place of reverence. Native American groups consider it sacred. It is a reminder that this land held meaning long before modern maps, that stories were etched not on parchment, but in the very skin of the earth, sleeping beneath the serpent's gaze. As you drift further into this night, let your thoughts wander to the forested hills of southern Ohio. Picture the silhouette of the serpent beneath a star-filled sky. Imagine the hush of the trees, the cool breath of ancient winds. Somewhere in time, a people walked this land with purpose. They lifted the soil, shaped the earth, and left behind a question we are still trying to answer. The Serpent Mound remains, silent, eternal, a whisper from a time before memory. Let its mystery wrap around your mind like the serpent's coils. Let its ancient presence carry you gently into dreams. We have only just begun our descent into the forgotten past of Ohio. Next, the Newark Earthworks, ancient geometry beyond explanation. In the heart of modern-day Ohio, tucked among neighborhoods, shopping centers, and golf courses, lie traces of a world that has all but vanished. These are not crumbling ruins or scattered stones, but massive earthworks, geometric, precise, and unfathomably ancient. The Newark Earthworks, a network of mounds and enclosures so intricate, so mathematically advanced that even now, in the 21st century, science cannot fully grasp their purpose or the people who built them. Tonight, let us close our eyes and drift into the mists of time. Let your mind settle as we wander into a world of forgotten geometry, cosmic alignment, and sacred design. A world where every curve held meaning, every angle whispered a story, and where, even now, the earth itself seems to hold a memory too sacred to forget. This is not simply a tale of mounds and measurements. It is a journey into one of the most sophisticated ancient constructions in all of North America. And yet, we know so little. Let's begin where the soil still breathes the echoes of long-gone builders. A monumental mystery in Middle America. The Newark Earthworks are among the largest set of geometric earthen enclosures in the world. Constructed between 100 BCE and 400 CE by the Hopewell culture, they span over 4 square miles of land in Licking County, Ohio. Once, they formed a massive ceremonial complex, a unified system of mounds, walls, and circles aligned with celestial bodies. Today, much of it has been lost to development, but what remains is enough to stir wonder in even the most skeptical visitor. The Great Circle, the Octagon Earthworks, and the Right Earthworks, these names describe parts of a system so advanced it has been compared to Stonehenge and even surpasses it in precision. But who exactly were the Hopewell? They left no written records, no cities, no temples carved in stone, just earth raised in vast, sacred patterns. And the question remains, how did a so-called prehistoric society create such precise alignments, such complex geometries, without metal tools or the wheel? The Great Circle, an earthen enclosure beyond comprehension. Imagine standing inside a massive circular earthwork, 1,200 feet in diameter, with walls nearly 14 feet high and a surrounding ditch almost as deep. This is the Great Circle Earthwork, believed to be a site for ceremonies, perhaps even astronomical observation. Its entrance aligns with the rising moon at specific points in its 18.6-year cycle, a detail so precise it escapes casual understanding. Archaeologists have noted that the builders would have needed both intimate observational knowledge of the sky and the ability to model complex celestial patterns across decades. But how could this knowledge have been acquired and passed on? There are no telescopes here, no paper charts, only dirt, sweat, intuition, and memory. And still, somehow, the Hopewell aligned the stars with the soil. The Octagon Earthworks, a lunar observatory, connected to the Great Circle by a ceremonial roadway, is the Octagon Earthworks, a feature so exacting in its design that modern astronomers have come to a startling conclusion. It functions as a lunar observatory. The Octagon is aligned with the Moon's northernmost rising point, a position it reaches only once every 18.6 years. To track this subtle cycle would require decades of observation and incredible memory. Yet the Octagon Earthworks appear to have been built to this exact rhythm. In fact, scientists from institutions like the University of Cincinnati and NASA have confirmed that the precision with which the earthworks align to lunar standstills rivals that of modern observatories. Let that settle in your mind, a prehistoric civilization building a 50-acre lunar calendar that still works. Could this have been coincidence? Or were these earthworks sacred mirrors of the heavens? Cosmic connections, geometry from the sky. The layout of the Newark Earthworks contains geometric ratios and forms that match those found in sacred architecture across the world. Squares, circles, octagons, each interlocked in mathematically harmonious ways. One of the most mysterious aspects of the octagon is its impossible symmetry. Despite being built entirely by hand with no written measurements or metal tools, its angles and alignments remain mathematically exact even thousands of years later. And what's more, the distances between various points in the complex mirror celestial distances like the path of the moon or the arc of the sun at solstice. How could a culture, assumed to be primitive by modern standards, achieve such mathematical brilliance? The silent builders, the Hopewell culture. We call them the Hopewell, but we don't know what they called themselves. They were mound builders, artisans, and astronomers. They created vast trade networks stretching from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. They carved mica from Appalachia, obsidian from the Rockies, and shells from the coast. Their ceremonial objects are intricate, their burial mounds precise. And yet, they vanished. By around 500 CE, the Hopewell people stopped building. Their ceremonial centers were abandoned. Their networks unraveled. Why? No one knows. Some scholars suggest climate shifts, others propose internal upheaval. But the truth has been swallowed by time. All that remains are the mounds and the silent questions they whisper. What was it all for? Were the Newark Earthworks designed for ritual? Astronomy? Pilgrimage? Some researchers suggest the site functioned as a vast lunar temple, its every path aligned with the journey of the moon. Others believe it was a place for the dead, a ceremonial gateway through which souls would pass, guided by the stars. There are even those who speak of lost knowledge, ancient wisdom that has slipped between the cracks of history. Could the Hopewell have inherited celestial knowledge from an even older culture? One that predates recorded time? Or was their understanding intuitive, spiritual, mathematical in ways we no longer comprehend? A mystery still unsolved. In 2006, the Newark Earthworks were declared a National Historic Landmark, and recent efforts have pushed for them to become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Modern tools like LiDAR have revealed more about the hidden patterns beneath the soil, showing that the complexity of the design extends far beyond what's visible from the ground. And yet, with all our satellites and sensors, the central question remains unanswered. Why were they built? Who guided their creation? And how did they know the moon so well? So tonight, as you drift off to sleep beneath your own moonlit sky, imagine a time long before cities, before clocks and calendars. A time when people shaped the earth itself to mirror the heavens. A time when the soil spoke a language that we no longer understand. The Newark Earthworks remain quiet, enduring, and mysterious. Proof that even in the heartland of America, ancient hands once touched the stars. Sleep well, and let the earth whisper its secrets to you. Next, the Serpent Mound, Ohio's celestial serpent of earth and sky. Tonight, we drift to the rolling hills of Adams County, Ohio, where the land itself has taken the form of a serpent. Silent, ancient, and coiled in mystery. Atop a gentle plateau lies one of the most enigmatic effigies in North America. The Great Serpent Mound, a massive earthen sculpture stretching over 1,300 feet long, winding in 7 elegant coils, culminating in a spiral of mystery at its head. It is the largest surviving effigy mound in the world, and to this day, its origin, purpose, and meaning remain unresolved. Who shaped this serpent in the soil? And why? As you settle in, let your mind slowly follow the curves of the serpent mound. Let your breath match its rhythm, ancient, deliberate, coiling through time. Let us walk together into a forgotten past, where land and sky spoke a language long lost. A colossal earthwork with no written record. The serpent mound is not merely a mound. It is a living glyph, a symbol carved into the body of the earth. Stretching nearly a quarter mile, the serpent curves with grace and symmetry, its body laid out along the contours of a ridgetop. At the end of its coiled tail lies a triple spiral. At the head, a wide, open mouth appears to be consuming or perhaps birthing a large oval shape. Some say it is an egg. Others suggest it is the sun or perhaps the moon. Still others believe it represents a portal, a place where earth and sky intersect. And while countless theories have emerged, the truth is elusive. There is no written text, no oral history passed down with certainty, only soil and intention. Who built the serpent? At first, archaeologists believe the mound was created by the Adena culture, who lived in the region around 1000 BCE. Later studies proposed a different theory, that the builders were of the Fort Ancient culture, active between 1000 and 1650 CE. But radiocarbon dating conducted in the early 1990s yielded a surprising result. Charcoal samples taken from beneath parts of the mound date back to around 321 BCE, suggesting the serpent could be over 2,000 years old. And yet, no Adena site elsewhere shows the same artistic form. No other effigy matches the serpent's scale or complexity. It seems to stand alone, outside of time, unclaimed. A cosmic alignment? If you were to stand at the serpent's head during the summer solstice, something incredible happens. The sun sets in perfect alignment with the serpent's open jaws. To many researchers, this suggests the mound was created as a solar observatory, a sacred calendar carved into the earth. But the alignments don't stop there. The curves of the body appear to point to lunar events, such as the moon's major standstills, which occur every 18.6 years. Still, other scholars believe the entire shape mimics star patterns visible in ancient skies. Perhaps Draco, the dragon constellation, coiling around the northern pole. Could the serpent have been a sacred mirror, reflecting both time and the heavens? A place of power. The serpent mound rests atop an ancient geological anomaly, a crypto-explosion structure. Beneath the ridgetop lies a disrupted landscape of fractured rock and magnetic anomalies. Some researchers believe this may have been caused by a meteorite impact nearly 300 million years ago. Was this location chosen for its energetic properties? Did the builders detect something unusual in the land itself? Magnetic surveys have shown that the mound exhibits anomalous readings, suggesting the builders may have been aware of the Earth's energies in ways we can no longer explain. Perhaps the site was chosen not only for its alignment to the sky, but for its resonance with the Earth. A spiritual landscape. Native American elders today regard the Serpent Mound as a place of ceremony and reverence. Though the original builders are unknown, the mound has remained a sacred site for centuries. Some believe the serpent represents the cycle of life and death, a cosmic guardian of the underworld. Others say it symbolizes fertility, rebirth, and renewal. The spiral tail, a common motif in global sacred geometry, may represent the journey inward, a path of initiation, of spiritual transformation. Visitors often report a deep stillness at the site, a sense of being watched, a sense of presence. What lies beneath? Excavations have revealed that the mound contains no burials, no artifacts. Unlike other native mounds, it seems to have been created purely for symbolic or ceremonial purposes. Its design required vast amounts of soil, carried basket by basket, shaped over time with extraordinary care. And yet, no village lies nearby, no evidence of domestic life, only the serpent, resting silently atop the ridge. It is as if the land itself was shaped into a message. Theories and speculations. Over the years, alternative theories have surfaced. That the mound was a site of astronomical prophecy predicting celestial events. That it encoded ancient knowledge lost after the mound-building cultures vanished. That it marked a ley line, a corridor of spiritual energy on Earth. Even more speculative ideas connect the mound to transoceanic contact, linking its design to serpent iconography in Mesoamerica or ancient Europe. Though these ideas are controversial, they reflect the powerful draw of the serpent mound's mystery. A timeless guardian. Whatever its origin, the serpent mound has endured. Floods have passed. Storms have come and gone. Forests have risen and fallen. But the serpent remains. It continues to watch the sky, to greet the solstice, to wind through the dreams of those who visit it. Tonight, as you fall deeper into sleep, let the image of the serpent guide you. Let it coil gently through your thoughts, wrapping you in a mystery older than memory. A message in earth. A whisper from the stars. A sacred shape no science can fully explain. Sleep well. Next, the enigma of the Great Hopewell Road, an ancient highway through time. In the soft twilight of the Ohio Valley, as dusk casts golden shadows over quiet meadows and ancient hills, the ghosts of a forgotten road whisper to those who listen. Beneath the modern world, beneath the farms, towns, and highways, lies something extraordinary. A line, two embankments of earth, running straight and true for miles and miles. Once nearly invisible, now only partially preserved, this ancient pathway has become one of the great mysteries of North American archaeology. It is called the Great Hopewell Road. Though only faint traces remain today, the magnitude of what once existed challenges everything we thought we knew about the people who lived here 2,000 years ago. It begins at the great geometric complexes of the Newark Earthworks, then seems to stretch southward toward Chillicothe, home of another major Hopewell ceremonial center. What purpose this road served, how it was constructed with such precision, and why it vanishes and reappears like a mirage through the forested plains of Ohio, these questions remain unanswered. The Hopewell culture, which flourished from around 100 BCE to 400 CE, left behind some of the most sophisticated earthworks on the continent. Geometrically perfect circles, octagons, and squares, aligned to celestial bodies, all constructed without metal tools or the wheel. Their ceremonial mounds are wonders in themselves. But this road, the idea of a highway built not for commerce, but for ritual, adds a new dimension to their world. The Hopewell Road first came into scholarly awareness in the 19th century. Surveyor Squire and Davis, in their landmark 1848 book, Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley, noted a remarkable double embankment running south from Newark. Each bank was about 3 feet high and about 60 feet apart, enclosing a corridor that extended for miles. For a time, the road was dismissed as coincidence or agricultural feature, but aerial photography in the 20th century confirmed its near-impossible straightness. Some archaeologists believe it once extended more than 60 miles in a perfectly straight line. This alone is staggering. Such alignment over hills, rivers, and forests would be difficult even today. How did the Hopewell achieve this? Without writing, without compasses, without satellite imaging. What drove them to do so? Was the road symbolic? A pathway for the dead? A processional way used only for the most sacred ceremonies? Or was it a physical representation of the cosmos, mirroring a journey not across land, but across the spiritual world? There are signs that support all these ideas, but no definitive proof. And yet, the road calls to us, even now. In your mind's eye, imagine walking it. The path, flanked by earthen walls on either side, stretches ahead endlessly into the misty horizon. You see no carts, no signs of burden or trade. Instead, you see lines of people moving slowly and solemnly, adorned in ritual garments, carrying offerings or guiding the departed. The sun sets low on the western horizon, casting long shadows across the embankments. Perhaps the road aligns with celestial events, or perhaps with sacred geographic markers lost to time. If you pause to listen closely, the quiet Ohio breeze seems to carry the soft echoes of footsteps long faded, the rustle of feathers, the rhythmic beat of drums, the murmur of prayers in a language now unknown. Today, only short segments of the Hopewell Road survive. Most has been lost to agriculture, development, and time. But archaeological efforts continue. LiDAR scans have begun to detect faint outlines just beneath the surface, suggesting that much more of the road remains hidden underground. Some dream of one day tracing its full length. But even if we were to find it all, to map every curve and measure every angle, the deeper question would remain, why? What compelled a culture to construct such a path with such effort and precision and to maintain it for generations? Was it to unite sacred spaces, to emulate a divine path seen in the stars, or to guide spirits to the afterlife? Could it represent a cosmological axis, the Hopewell version of a world tree or sky ladder? We may never know. Yet in a way, the mystery itself is a kind of answer. The Hopewell Road invites us not only to study the past, but to respect its depth, its beauty, and its unknowability. It shows that those who came before us thought deeply, imagined boldly, and created marvels that echo into our own time. As you rest tonight, let the thought of that ancient road drift through your mind. Picture it stretching forward, always ahead, always pointing towards something just beyond the horizon. Let the mystery guide you gently into dreams where questions become journeys and sleep becomes a passage through the unknown. Next, the Serpent Mound, Ohio's cosmic enigma. Beneath the quiet skies of southern Ohio in Adams County, where rolling hills meet gentle woods, lies a serpentine monument that has confounded archaeologists, astronomers, and storytellers alike. It slithers across a plateau above a winding creek, an immense earthen sculpture shaped like a coiled snake. At first glance, it is simply beautiful, but the deeper one looks, the more questions it raises. Who built this serpent? Why does it align with celestial events? And what ancient knowledge does it still whisper beneath the soil? This is the story of the Great Serpent Mound, one of the most mysterious and iconic prehistoric earthworks in North America. It is not merely a sculpture in the earth, it is a cosmic puzzle, a spiritual enigma, and perhaps a message left by an ancient culture we no longer understand. Tonight, as you drift into rest, let us explore the ancient coils of the serpent, step by step, curve by curve, uncovering the mysteries it guards so well. A colossal creation in earth and silence. Measuring an impressive 1,348 feet, 411 meters in length and around 3 feet in height, the Serpent Mound undulates across a narrow ridge above the Brush Creek Valley. The figure depicts a snake with an open mouth appearing to devour a large oval, possibly an egg, the sun, or even the world itself. Its coiled body winds through 7 curves before tapering off into a tightly wound spiral tail. From the ground, it is impressive, but from the sky, it is awe-inspiring. The scale and precision of the design are only fully apparent from above, an extraordinary detail given that its creators had no known means of aerial perspective. And yet, the design is symmetrical, measured, and intentional. It speaks of careful planning, of vision, of knowledge. But who were the visionaries? Who built the serpent? The debate of the ages. For decades, scholars believed the Serpent Mound was constructed by the Adena culture, a mound-building people who flourished in Ohio between 1000 BCE and 200 CE. This theory was based on artifacts and burial mounds found nearby that date to the Adena period. The Adena were known for their ceremonial earthworks and burial practices, sophisticated yet still shrouded in mystery. However, radiocarbon dating conducted in the 1990s challenged this view. Charcoal samples from the mound dated to around 1070 CE, long after the Adena had vanished from the historical record. This points instead to the Fort Ancient Culture, a Native American group who inhabited the region around that time. But even this theory is debated. The Fort Ancient Culture is not known for creating effigy mounds, and some scholars believe they may have merely reused or modified an older site. Could the mound predate both cultures? Could it have been built by an even earlier, undocumented group? Or was it a collaborative sacred site built, reused, and revered by successive peoples across centuries? These questions remain open, and with each possible answer, new mysteries emerge. A serpent aligned with the stars. Perhaps the most perplexing aspect of the Serpent Mound lies not in its construction but in its alignment with celestial bodies. Studies have shown that the curves and points of the serpent align with astronomical events, particularly the summer and winter solstices. The serpent's open mouth, which appears to consume an oval, points toward the sunset on the summer solstice. Other curves may align with the equinoxes and lunar standstills, events in the moon's 18.6-year cycle. In essence, the Serpent Mound may be a giant calendar, a ceremonial site designed to track the movement of the heavens. This would suggest that its builders were keen astronomers, deeply attuned to the rhythms of the sun, moon, and stars. Such precision implies observation over generations, a cultural memory of cosmic patterns passed through time. But why a serpent? Why choose this particular shape for a celestial marker? Across cultures and continents, the serpent has been a powerful symbol of renewal of life and death, of the underworld and the divine. Some believe the serpent represents the Milky Way, others see it as a guardian of sacred knowledge, or a symbol of fertility and transformation. Perhaps the ancient builders intended all of these meanings, or perhaps they meant something entirely different, now lost to time. A platform on the edge of worlds. The choice of location is no accident. The Serpent Mound lies atop a meteor crater, a massive geological feature known as the Serpent Mound Crater, formed by an ancient asteroid impact. This ridge, dramatically elevated and distinct in shape, may have held spiritual significance to the mound's creators. The elevated position provides a striking view of the surrounding landscape and sky, perfect for astronomical observation, ritual, or communion with the divine. Imagine standing there 1,000 years ago, watching the sun dip below the horizon in perfect alignment with the serpent's mouth. The air cooling, the sky shifting from gold to violet, and the sense of standing at the meeting point of Earth and cosmos, of time and eternity. It is easy to see why this spot would be deemed sacred, why it would become the canvas for something so enduring. Modern encounters and interpretations. Today, the Serpent Mound is preserved and protected. Pilgrims, tourists, and scholars visit each year, walking its gentle curves, marveling at its form, and wondering at its purpose. Some see it as a sacred Native American site, others interpret it through New Age lenses, as a vortex of energy, a message from extraterrestrials, or even a key to ancient lost knowledge. In 2003, the site was nominated for UNESCO World Heritage status as part of a group of Hopewell ceremonial earthworks. Recognition continues to grow, but the deeper meaning of the serpent itself remains just out of reach. Its presence invites us to slow down, to look closer, to ask questions. And perhaps that is the point. Perhaps the serpent was never meant to give answers, only to awaken wonder. The serpent sleeps, but never silently. As you close your eyes tonight, picture the serpent in the moonlight, its long, earthen body absorbing starlight, its ancient coils wrapped around secrets we may never fully uncover. The Great Serpent Mound does not offer easy explanations. It offers mystery. And in that mystery, it becomes a mirror for the stars, for the past, and for our enduring quest to understand the universe. It reminds us that long before skyscrapers or satellites, there were people who looked up at the sky and built monuments to match its rhythms. People who shaped the earth to mirror the cosmos. People who, perhaps like us, sought meaning in patterns, signs, and silence. And perhaps, as you drift into sleep, you too will dream of stars, of sacred curves, of ancient wisdom wrapped in soil and stone. Next, the enigmatic Hopewell culture, keepers of forgotten geometry. Somewhere beneath the lush woodlands of ancient Ohio, amid the sighing trees and shifting mists, once thrived a culture that did not build cities or empires, but instead carved the earth itself into vast patterns that still puzzle us to this day. Their names are lost, their voices silenced, yet what they left behind whispers across the centuries in vast geometric earthworks, curious artifacts, and a mathematical precision that seems almost impossible for a so-called prehistoric people. They are known to us only as the Hopewell culture. But who were they really? Tonight, in the quiet stillness, let us wander through time, tracing the ghostly outlines of circles, squares, and octagons embedded in Ohio soil. Let us walk softly among their sacred mounds and follow the invisible lines that once mapped the sky. As you drift deeper into rest, this part of our journey takes us through a civilization shrouded not in stone, but in silence and genius. A culture with no kings, but infinite questions. The Hopewell people lived between approximately 100 BC and 500 CE, thriving in what is now Ohio and parts of the Midwest. Unlike the Romans who ruled the Mediterranean at the same time, or the Mayans rising far to the south, the Hopewell left no pyramids, no palaces, no written records. Instead, they built massive earthworks, often hundreds of feet across, in the forms of circles, squares, and even octagons, shapes so precise they rival our modern instruments. Some of their geometric structures are aligned to lunar and solar events with incredible accuracy. These constructions sprawl across the land, linked by embankments and causeways, and still visible today by satellite. Yet the Hopewell people lived in small, scattered villages. No evidence of cities, armies, or central governments has ever been found. And that raises a breathtaking question. How did a non-urban, egalitarian society design and execute engineering feats so grand that modern surveyors marvel at them? Who guided their hands? What knowledge did they possess that we have forgotten? Geometry in the grasslands. Take, for example, the High Bank Works near Chillicothe, Ohio. There, an enormous octagon over 1,000 feet wide connects to a perfect circle by a set of parallel embankments. The precision of this layout has stunned archaeologists. The octagon's sides and angles are so exact, they suggest a deep understanding of geometry and astronomy. One theory, advanced by researchers including Dr. Ray Hively and Dr. Robert Horn, suggests that the Hopewell used this site as a lunar observatory, tracking the 18.6-year cycle of the moon's extreme rise and set points. If true, it would mean the Hopewell developed this knowledge through long-term observation and encoded it into the very land itself. At Octagon Earthworks, across the Scioto River from Mound City, another grand set of squares and circles emerges from the earth. Each element is measured with uncanny accuracy. These aren't mere decorative designs. They are intentional, symbolic, and possibly mathematical, perhaps spiritual. The Hopewell weren't just shaping the land. They were speaking through it. Artifacts from faraway worlds. As enigmatic as their architecture is, the Hopewell's burial mounds offer yet another layer of mystery. Inside many of these mounds, archaeologists have found exquisite artifacts crafted from materials gathered far beyond Ohio. Obsidian from the Rocky Mountains, copper from the Great Lakes, mica from the Appalachian Mountains, shells from the Gulf of Mexico, even grizzly bear teeth and shark jaws sourced from distant regions. This astonishing network of materials implies that the Hopewell were part of a massive trade network stretching thousands of miles. But it also raises the question, how did a non-hierarchical society manage such vast exchanges? How were alliances and partnerships maintained without empires or armies? And most strangely, why do so many Hopewell artifacts emphasize symmetry, geometry, and cosmology? Was their art more than art? Were they encoding something deeper, messages, perhaps, about the structure of the cosmos? Burials, beliefs, and the afterlife unknown. The Hopewell left no temples or ziggurats. Their sacred space was the earth itself. Their dead were often buried in carefully constructed burial mounds, frequently cremated, and placed with objects of deep personal or ceremonial significance: beads, pipes, effigies, and tools. Some scholars believe these mounds were not simply tombs, but spiritual landscapes, sites where the veil between worlds was thin, where ceremonies helped guide the soul to the afterlife or possibly beyond. There is evidence that many mounds were built in stages, sometimes over generations. This suggests a sense of ancestral reverence and continuity. And yet, their beliefs remain elusive. We can only interpret their silences. There is no written language to guide us. No inscriptions or texts. Just mounds, paths, and quiet. And in that quiet, something profound. The celestial blueprint. Many of the Hopewell's earthworks appear to be aligned with celestial bodies, not only the moon, but the rising and setting points of the sun during solstices and equinoxes. Researchers using LiDAR and aerial imagery have noted consistent astronomical patterns across multiple sites. The High Bank Works, the Newark Earthworks, and others may have served as enormous calendars, syncing time with sacred ritual. But how did they determine these alignments without telescopes? How did they preserve such knowledge across generations? It's possible that a caste of sky watchers, spiritual astronomers, were trained to observe patterns in the heavens. These priest architects may have encoded cosmological beliefs into the very geometry of their sacred spaces, land as star map, mound as message. Some even speculate that the geometry reflects universal constants like the golden ratio or hidden harmonic structures, echoes of a lost science now buried in soil. A vanishing act without explanation. Sometime around 500 CE, the Hopewell culture appears to have vanished. There is no record of conquest, no evidence of plague or war. Their sites were slowly abandoned, their tools and artifacts left behind. Over time, new peoples like the Fort Ancient and later the Shawnee inhabited the land, but the exact memory of the Hopewell faded into myth. Why did they stop building? Why did their precise geometry go silent? Some believe environmental changes disrupted food systems. Others argue for a spiritual shift, perhaps a transformation in worldview that made their old ceremonial practices obsolete. Or maybe they simply evolved, their knowledge absorbed into oral traditions, passed quietly from generation to generation in song, story, or dance. Whatever the cause, their disappearance is a final, quiet mystery in a long list of riddles. Modern rediscovery and reverence. Today, many Hopewell sites are protected, though some have been damaged or lost over the centuries due to farming, development, and time. Efforts to preserve and study them continue, often with the support and involvement of modern Native American communities. The Hopewell's geometric genius has inspired not just archaeologists, but mathematicians, spiritual seekers, and artists. Their legacy endures not through monuments of stone, but through designs in the soil that remain visible after 2,000 years. In 2023, the Hopewell ceremonial earthworks were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, acknowledging their global significance and enduring mystery. Lines in the earth, echoes in the stars. So as you rest now, imagine standing on a hill in Ohio 1,800 years ago. The night sky wheeling above. A group of people gathered at a silent mound, their eyes fixed not on the ground, but the moon. You see lines drawn between stars and soil, between what is and what lies beyond. In their quiet rituals and symmetrical designs, the Hopewell left behind a message we are still learning to read. A culture without kings. A legacy written not in stone, but in precision. And a geometry that may be more than math, it may be memory. The Hopewell are gone, but the ground still remembers. And so, in the hush of night, you too might feel the subtle pull of ancient patterns beneath you. Patterns that defy time. Patterns that still sleep just under the surface. Next, ancient canals and lost rivers, Ohio's forgotten waterways. In the hush of twilight, when the wind moves gently across Ohio's open fields and forests, you might find yourself drawn to the faint traces of something long vanished. Paths not carved by feet, but by water. Veins of forgotten purpose that once flowed with life, trade, and perhaps something deeper. Beneath the forests and beneath the farms, beneath cities and highways, lie the ghosts of ancient rivers, man-made waterways, channels, and mysterious ditches etched into the earth by hands long gone. Were they simply irrigation works, pathways for trade, or did they serve some ceremonial function now lost to time? Tonight, as your body sinks deeper into rest, we drift gently down these watery corridors of mystery, through ancient canals and vanishing rivers. This part of our journey explores a question few ever think to ask. Did prehistoric people in Ohio engineer complex waterways before the rise of cities? And if so, why? Whispers beneath the soil. It begins, as many mysteries do, with a shape on the land. A trench, a line, a curve in the soil that doesn't follow the rules of nature. These aren't rivers formed by erosion. They're deliberate, geometrical, and they connect. In places like Ross County, Licking County, and Pickaway County, archaeologists and local historians have uncovered a growing network of these curious channels. Some stretch for miles, with embankments rising on either side. Others flow into or out of mound complexes built by ancient cultures like the Hopewell. But here's the puzzle. These channels aren't modern. They appear beneath layers of earth that suggest pre-contact origin, some dating back over 2,000 years. And they often occur where no modern or colonial canals were known to exist. Why would a prehistoric people dig such massive waterways, sometimes more than 30 feet wide, in the middle of what today feels like nowhere? And how could they have done it without iron tools? The Newark Canal's an overlooked puzzle. Near the Newark Earthworks, where massive geometric mounts form an octagon, circle, and square in cosmic harmony, researchers discovered evidence of ancient water channels possibly connected to the structures themselves. One channel seemed to run from Raccoon Creek through the ceremonial complex and out again, possibly surrounding or connecting parts of the mound complex. Could this have served a practical purpose? Possibly, but others argue for something more symbolic. Water in ancient cosmologies was sacred, a gateway between worlds, a purifier, a guide for the soul. In Native American tradition, flowing water is often linked with the underworld or the spirit realm. Were these channels part of a spiritual journey? Did initiates or shamans walk beside them, or place offerings into the moving water to carry their intentions beyond? It's a question still unanswered. Hidden in plain sight, the Whitewater Canal theory. Down near Hamilton County, close to the Ohio-Indiana border, there are remnants of what appears to be an ancient canal that runs parallel to the Whitewater River. Some argue it's nothing more than a natural meander, but satellite imagery and careful measurement suggest something more intentional, like a straightened path cut through the land for the purpose of redirecting water flow. In certain spots, the canal curves just enough to create symmetrical arcs, not unlike the shapes seen in Hopewell geometry. Could this be an example of early hydraulic engineering? What complicates the story further is that prehistoric wooden tools and stone implements have been discovered nearby. No metal tools, no European influence. Could the indigenous people of Ohio have engineered navigation systems thousands of years before the Erie Canal? Or were these waterworks ceremonial routes perhaps used only for special events or seasonal rituals? The answers have yet to fully surface. Underground rivers of legend. Beyond the physical trenches and ditches, Ohio is filled with folk tales of underground rivers. Stories passed down among farmers, millworkers, and even early surveyors speak of lost streams that vanish into the ground only to appear again miles away. One such legend surrounds the Olentangy River, where, in certain locations, locals reported hearing water rushing beneath their feet during the spring thaw. In Knox County, residents once described a buried water tunnel that would occasionally collapse in after heavy rains, revealing smooth-sided banks and a flat bottom far too uniform to be natural. Some speculate these might be remnants of subterranean aqueducts designed by prehistoric peoples to direct floodwaters or manage sacred springs. Others think they're natural karst systems, geological quirks. But what if they were both? What if the Hopewell, or a culture that came even before them, found natural underground water systems and adapted them, transforming geology into sacred geography? We may never know for sure, but these whispers beneath the surface keep the mystery alive. A network of trade? Another theory suggests these canals may have formed part of a prehistoric trade network. After all, the Hopewell culture exchanged goods across vast distances. Obsidian from Yellowstone, copper from the Upper Peninsula, shells from the Gulf Coast. But transporting these items overland by foot would have been slow and arduous. Could Ohio's ancient canals have supported canoe travel? Shallow, dugout boats drifting along waterways carved for just this purpose? If true, this would rewrite our understanding of early North American infrastructure. While no direct evidence of prehistoric boats has survived Ohio's acidic soil, other regions, such as Florida, have yielded dugout canoes more than 7,000 years old. It is not unthinkable that ancient Ohioans had similar technology, lost now, save for the scars left on the land. Water as ceremony. Of course, not every mystery can or should be reduced to utility. Water, to many ancient peoples, was sacred. Flowing water was living, a spirit in motion. In some traditions, it was the path by which souls reached the land of the dead. In others, it was the breath of the earth itself, carrying energy, memory, and dreams. Some archaeologists have posited that Ohio's ancient canals weren't built for trade or farming at all, but as spiritual highways. Imagine it, ceremonial canoes drifting by torchlight along dark water, bearing offerings to sacred mounds. Or pilgrims walking beside a flowing channel, chanting or singing, casting wishes into the stream. In the quiet of night, these forgotten waterways may have come alive with meaning, just as they stir something in us now, though they've gone dry. Modern investigations, ancient questions. In recent years, advanced imaging tools like LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar have begun to reveal more about these mysterious features. Channels long covered by soil, roads, and farms are appearing once again in the digital scans, lines crisscrossing fields where no water flows today. In some places, these channels connect directly to known ceremonial sites, forming patterns that may tell a larger story. But without inscriptions, without oral traditions linking them directly to the people who built them, we are left with shadows and shapes, patterns in the dust, and questions. What else lies beneath? Perhaps the most compelling thought is this: we may have only just scratched the surface. If these ancient canals exist in multiple locations across the state, how many more remain buried? How many have been erased by centuries of plowing, building, and flooding? How many secrets lie just a few feet below, waiting to be seen not with the eyes, but with the mind? The idea that a prehistoric people, working with stone tools and woven baskets, reshaped the very flow of water across Ohio's vast landscape is both humbling and thrilling. It speaks to an intelligence we often underestimate. A vision of the land as alive, sacred, and mutable, drifting toward silence. As we float gently out of this chapter, think of Ohio not as a static plain, but as a place of motion where rivers once danced to ancient designs, where mounds rose beside flowing channels, and where each droplet carried with it a ripple of meaning. Let your thoughts drift with the waters, down lost canals and across buried streams, through fog and time. The ancient waterways may be dry now, but their memory still runs deep. And as you sink into peaceful sleep, know that somewhere, beneath the modern world, a silent river still flows, carrying with it the secrets of a people who understood far more than we can ever truly know. Next, the enigma of Lake Hope's submerged ruins, Ohio's lost underwater settlement. In the quiet, forested stretches of southeastern Ohio, deep within the Appalachian foothills, lies a serene body of water known as Lake Hope. Still, reflective, and surrounded by whispering trees, it appears at first glance to be nothing more than a peaceful retreat for hikers, campers, and nature lovers. But beneath its dark, glassy surface, legends stir. Local tales speak of stone walls under the water, of symmetrical patterns glimpsed through the murk by daring divers, and of a forgotten place, a settlement, perhaps, or something far older. Could there really be ruins beneath Lake Hope? Might this quiet lake be hiding the remains of an ancient village, or even the last traces of a civilization that predates known Ohio history? In this chapter of Timeless Enigma, we explore the mysterious story of Lake Hope's submerged enigma, drawing together folklore, geology, and unexplained anomalies that have puzzled scientists and locals alike. The origins of Lake Hope. To understand the mystery, we must first consider the lake's relatively modern beginnings. Lake Hope is a man-made reservoir created in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps (CCC) during the New Deal era. As part of a larger effort to revitalize and conserve Ohio's natural resources, a dam was constructed on Big Sandy Run, and the resulting body of water gradually filled the valley, covering what had once been a region pockmarked with remnants of the state's iron mining history. Mining towns and furnaces once stood where the lake now laps against stone and soil. Among them was Hope Furnace, the ironworks that gave the lake its name. By the early 20th century, these towns had been abandoned, their populations having dwindled as the iron boom faded into memory. The area fell into a kind of historical shadow, left behind, silent, slowly being reclaimed by forest and, eventually, by water. But even before the industrial era, there were stories. Long before European settlers ever reached the area, indigenous peoples had lived, hunted, and held ceremony in these woods. And some believed that the valley now hidden beneath Lake Hope held special significance long before it was dammed and flooded. Whispers beneath the water. It began with stories. Locals who had grown up in the area before the lake existed spoke of stone foundations and curious shapes in the soil. After the valley was flooded, tales emerged of divers and swimmers who, under certain conditions, had glimpsed stone formations beneath the surface, lines too straight, circles too perfect to be natural. Some visitors have claimed to see these during seasons of extreme drought when the lake's waters recede just enough to expose the tips of submerged structures. There are rumors of stacked stones visible just beneath the shallows, arranged in linear formations reminiscent of ancient walls or ceremonial platforms. But these sightings are brief and fleeting. Like many things in folklore, they vanish just as quickly as they appear. Hikers have reported a strange atmosphere near certain sections of the lake's edge, a sensation of being watched, of energy humming just beneath the surface. Whether psychological, paranormal, or entirely natural, these feelings have become part of the Lake Hope lore. Unexplained stone arrangements. In several accounts from local divers and amateur explorers, there is a recurring detail: geometrical patterns of stone deep beneath the surface. One diver claimed to have seen what looked like a circular foundation, partially covered in silt. Another recounted an experience where they followed a low stone wall for nearly 10 feet before it disappeared into deeper darkness. These could be remnants of early settler activity. After all, the region had been populated in the 1800s, and it's entirely plausible that some ruins from cabins, furnaces, or roads still exist beneath the lake. But some formations seem to defy this logic. Certain shapes mirror the sacred geometries seen in Enigma or Hopewell Earthworks. Could there have been a mound or ceremonial site here, one that was never catalogued before the flooding of the valley? Without formal archaeological exploration, these questions remain unanswered, the answers locked beneath layers of sediment and still water. Parallels with other submerged sites. Lake Hope is not the only place where supposed ancient ruins lie underwater. Around the world, similar mysteries have baffled scientists and historians alike. In Greece, the city of Pavlopetri lies submerged off the coast, its stone streets and rooms clearly visible beneath the Aegean Sea. Off the coast of Japan, the Yonaguni Monument presents massive, staircase-like stone formations beneath the ocean. In Lake Titicaca, high in the Andes, divers have discovered what they believe to be a drowned temple, possibly built by a civilization that predates the Incas. Could Lake Hope be Ohio's version of these sites? Is it possible that the region's ancient cultures, such as the Enigma or Hopewell, once built ceremonial spaces in valleys that were later forgotten? If such a site had existed, and if it had gone unrecorded before the damming of Big Sandy Run, then its remains would now lie hidden beneath Lake Hope's surface. Silence and skepticism. Despite these stories, official acknowledgement of any unusual structures beneath Lake Hope is lacking. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources has made no formal statements, and no archaeological surveys have been conducted underwater in the lake. Some speculate that this is due to a lack of resources or scientific interest. Others suggest that any such discoveries could disrupt the region's tourism or conservation programs. A few conspiracy theorists even claim that evidence of ancient ruins was intentionally overlooked or suppressed during the lake's creation. Whether true or not, the lack of formal study has only fueled the mystery, allowing it to grow in shadow. Indigenous memory and lost landscapes. Long before the lake existed, indigenous peoples of the region, including the Shawnee, Mingo, and others, held deep spiritual relationships with the land. Though many of their oral traditions were lost or fractured during centuries of displacement, some fragments remain. Stories of sacred valleys, ceremonial clearings, and places where the earth speaks echo through regional tribal lore. Could Lake Hope have been one such place? Might the now submerged valley have once been a site of ceremony or pilgrimage? This is speculative, of course. Yet in many parts of the world, submerged landscapes are known to have held spiritual importance long before being covered by water, whether through natural shifts or human intervention. If nothing else, the lack of exploration here leaves a haunting question. What was sacrificed when this land was buried beneath water? The strange stillness. Swimmers and boaters have occasionally reported eerie sensations in the lake's deeper portions. The water feels colder than expected. Sounds seem dampened. A few have even reported hearing low hums or echoes that seem to come from beneath them. These could be natural acoustics. Of course, lakes can carry and distort sound in strange ways.